Alright, here we are moving from yesterday to today. Today is July 19th. And they're now moving on to pretty much what I would say is the best forage we have on the farm right now. Taking down the fencing from yesterday. You can see to the right, everything's been eaten. To the left, lots to eat. We've been real dry. I don't think we would call it a drought, but it's definitely dry. You can see some of the clover leaves are kind of curling up. Grass is browning a little bit. But down here in this draw, along this kind of creek bed, they've been getting grass has been getting plenty of moisture, and it's just incredible the difference what some proper water will do. So I planted over the winter frost seeded red clover, and down here where it got enough water, it's out of control, like in a good way. I mean, if it was like this everywhere, I would say this is a little too much. I mean, some of this clover is, let's see, that's past my elbow. So it's probably almost 2 feet tall. And when you look down in there, yeah, I mean, the ground's got a little bit of moisture. Not much, it's hanging on by a thread. But it's just been enough where this stand of clover has been able to get what it needed water-wise, and is awesome. And the cows just love it. It's so good for them. But if you look in other areas where we haven't gotten as much water, up on the ridges and stuff, some clover hasn't even sprouted, but then the stuff that has is maybe 4 to 6 inches tall, and in here it's between a foot and 2 feet tall, some places even taller. So they're going to be in heaven today. They got their one persimmon shade tree, which they'll enjoy. We're getting up towards 90 degrees. And plenty of forage. So they say when you start experiencing drought or dry conditions, at the earliest time you realize it's going to be that way, to start destocking, which means getting rid of some animals or finding a way to decrease the amount of forage that's needed. And they say usually the bottom 10% of your herd should go first. So what I did about 2 months ago, when the spring growth started slowing down and we realized there was not a lot of rain in the forecast, as I weaned off 2 calves that were able to be weaned. They were over almost about 6 months old. And so, just finishing taking this fence down. So we weaned those off their moms because a lactating cow requires about 50% more forage than a dry cow, one that's not lactating. So, weaned off 2. We were at about 11 animal units, so that takes half and half. It takes about 1 full animal unit worth of forage from each of those moms, that then decreases their intake by 50%. So that's basically like going from 11 animal units to 10 animal units, which is almost 10%. So that was the start, as we kind of noticed it was going to be dry, but still hoping for water. And now as it's gone on and there's still dry and we're not getting the regrowth we would want, granted it's mid-July, so this is kind of to be expected this time of year. Never tried this with one hand, I don't think. Well, I guess I did when I had shoulder surgery, but just running the wire. Not too bad, and get to the post. Look it around. Keep on moving. So that decreased us by, whatever that is, 8%, call it. Math on the fly. But now we need to decrease more, because as I look around the farm, doing my pasture walks, seeing what we've got several weeks ahead of us, if we don't catch another good rain here in the next few days, which it's not being called for, then they're going to start catching up with grass that's not where it needs to be to give them the nutrients that they need. So fortunately, we've sent 3 of our best cow mamas off to our neighbors, who is so gracious to allow us to use his bull. He's a stud South Pole bull, to breed our cows. So that was a big blessing in disguise, because that got another 3 cows off the property for the next probably 30 or 45 days while they get bred, which really decreases our density by another 30%. And then, but still the long-term plan is, like I've been saying all spring, is we're stocked too heavy anyway. So we're gonna sell off 2 other open cows to get us where we eventually want to be, of 3 breeding moms, their 3 yearlings, and then their 3 calves, which puts us at 9 cows at a time on the property, plus the 12-ish sheepies. Did I just call them sheepies? Yeah, see, this is what happens when I'm trying to work and talk. So, the new fence for today is run, and then I just attach it to the woven wire fence. The top wire is electric, so then I'll go down and attach the other wire to the electric, and that'll all charge up and keep them in. Although I don't think they would want to go anywhere with as beautiful the forage they have right there. So anyway, the name of the game, as it's getting dry, is to cut down on animal, not density necessarily, because we kind of want to make each paddock more dense as we give time for grass to recover. So instead of the spring rush and flush of us getting around the farm as quick as possible to keep up with growing grass, now the grass is slowing, or has slowed. So now we're trying to slow them down so you can pack them in tighter. So instead of having 24 paddocks to get around the farm as we did before, now we're probably looking at 45 paddocks. Get around the farm in 45 days, almost twice the amount of time. Give the grass more time to wait for a good rain. Because once it gets a rain, it should be all right. As long as you don't take it down too far when you're grazing. So that's where I'm kind of at right now, is we're still a little stocked, a little heavy. So I'm trying to thread the needle of slowing them down, packing them in tighter to give the grass time to recover. But then when you do that, they eat more grass. All right, so here's what we left from yesterday. It's probably four inches is what they say to leave. They, again, all the experts, that's not even, that's probably 3 inches. Some places it's more, there's 6 inches there, but someone probably peed there. That's why they didn't finish eating it. They still took it down a little farther than I would want. But that's the great thing about moving them every day, is if you pack them in a little too tight one day, you learn, and the next day you give them a little more space. If I was moving them once a month and packed them in too tight, they would absolutely decimate this field and just kill it off. But by moving them daily, a little mistake like that, cutting it a little too short, it should still be okay, hopefully, if we catch some rain. But basically, the longer the residual grass you leave, like here, they left this because it was near a poop paddy. You got that big solar collector that can capture all the sun's energy and convert it into growth if it's got some moisture. Whereas here, you cut it down a little shorter, your solar collectors are smaller, and you can't make as much use of the sun's energy. So again, it's just trying to get things just right. But in here, I think they're gonna be thrilled, because we've never had this much clover anywhere on this farm. I mean, I bet my boots are 18 inches, maybe 16 inches. And there's my boot on the ground. Yeah. It's good. I'll take it. If we could get the whole farm like this, we would be in some major business. But one step at a time. So, summer dry grazing, destocking a bit to try to match the animal pressure we're putting on the ground with what it's providing. Either way, it's beautiful to watch. Animals doing what they're supposed to be doing. You can see on the first pass through, they're just eating the tippy tops off the grass and the clover leaving over a foot. They'll do that all the way around, then come back through for a second bite, get the next bit of it. We're trying to keep them moving before they get more than half of that plant eaten right now.